All right, here we go, everyone. It's me, it's your boy, Coach B. Welcome to the fifth quarter fantasy cast. We are here for our second duo episode, and I am, or am I not, Tony Romo's second cousin? Who knows? And I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Dry, who is in the operating room. How's
Yep.
the operation going, Kevin?
Oh, someone's getting their head operated. Like pretty serious stuff over here, but we do what we can. But anyway, how's it going, you little fourth grader?
Oh, it's okay. We're all right. We changed the location. We're in the kitchen today. So you know what? I can't be in an operating room. I can't be in any place because my computer doesn't support background. So that's the kind of technology we're working with at the fifth quarter fantasy cast.
Oh, baby. Yep.
So, as promised, today's episode is about league settings, your preferred league settings. We're going to kind of run through it from league size to scoring to little extras, all sorts of things like that. And that's what we're going to get into today. And we're just going to kind of talk about that. And then we have a fun game here at the end of the show. And if we enjoy this game, then it could become a staple. It could be something we do all the time. If it's awful, then we'll never do it again. We'll just forget that this ever happened. So, but first, league settings. What do you enjoy most about leagues? And we're going to start with size. League size. Does it matter? I mean, I've always been like size doesn't matter in other areas of my life, more by necessity.
Yeah. I think it's very important to have the right size. You don't want too big, you don't want too small. But yeah, I mean, you see people in 8 team leagues, and it's an ongoing joke whenever someone's like, "Oh, I have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, uh, Christian McCaffrey, and Austin Eckler as my starters," and it's like, "What are you in, a 2 team league or 8 team league?" And so 8 team leagues. Every What I hate about 8 team leagues is everybody comes out of that draft with a stacked roster, and they're like, "Oh, my team's stacked. My team's stacked too." And everyone's team is stacked, and it's like, where's the challenge there? I don't understand. It's too small. And then I think if you're going 14 to 16, it's too much. I don't think there's any parity. All it takes is a couple of bad managers to pack it in for the year and make a bad trade and make one of those teams lopsided, and then everybody else is kind of chasing there. I think 10 is almost ideal. I think it's a little shallow, but it's good. It's a good size. I think 12 is the ideal size whenever it comes to how many teams make the playoffs and things like that. That's just kind of my thoughts on as far as like size mattering for the league and everything. I guess what are your thoughts in your experience so far?
I mean, I've always been in a 10 or 12 team league. I don't think I've
Yeah.
been in anything any bigger or any smaller. But like you were saying, like an 8 team league is, I don't want to say pointless. I mean, it's kind of like playing Madden on rookie. Like
Yeah.
you're scoring
Right.
hella points and having a really good time, then go for it. And maybe like for a fantasy beginner, that's where they start. But just to get their feet wet. But
Yeah.
like you would get quickly slapped in the face once you got upgraded to a 10, 12 team league where there's going to need to be a little more skill, a little more attention paid to the waiver wire, maybe, subscribe to a podcast or two. You're going to need to be keeping up with things a little bit better because that team you drafted isn't necessarily the team you're going to finish with. Whereas I bet in a lot of like smaller leagues, if you looked at like drafted team versus team at the end of the season, there may not be a lot of difference there.
Right. Right.
Whereas I know my team, good God, outside of like my first three picks sometimes.
They're gone. Yeah. Everyone's potable. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone can get it in those 10 to 12, but in the 8 team leagues, like it's almost like, man, I don't even know, like my last guy's so good, I don't know if I can root him. Like it's a weird place to be in. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's I think that's a fair assessment. Basically, you want to keep it to 10 to 12. If someone has to join an eight, like you to join their 8 man league, just I don't know, just say, hey, if you can get 2 other guys, I'm in. But really not worth your time whenever it comes down to it. But
All right, so let's talk about scoring. I mean, that's what fantasy is all about: points, points, points. We love them. We're here for it. How you go about getting those points can be a little bit different from league to league or commish to commish. Everyone has their
yeah,
kind of preferences. Uh, I've never been a commissioner. Kevin, you've been a commissioner. You've set the scoring settings. What do you like
yeah.
to do in the leagues that you manage?
So I think default settings are lazy commissioning. I think even if the defaults look okay, you still need to go through, finally comb through it, and just make sure nothing is weird or anything sucks. I think a lot of casual leagues do non-PPR. I started with non-PPR, slowly went around to like a half point, and then now try not to play a league if it's not PPR. It just seems to be what most people are doing whenever people are talking about how many points a player has scored or something. They're referring to PPR more than likely. So that's you want to be on par with what the community's talking about and everything. Um, I do like quarterback scoring 4-point touchdowns instead of 6-point touchdowns, just to kind of even things out because it shouldn't be all dependent on your quarterback. It should be, um, you know, different weights for different players where it all kind of evens out. Positions, I don't really like having kicker or team defense anymore because I feel like they're kind of crapshoots. Um, Emphasis on the crap. But yeah, like kickers are completely random. Like I'll never understand the guy who drafts Justin Tucker in the eighth round. I think that is the stupidest thing that you can do. I know Justin Tucker, he's a damn good kicker in real life, but why are you doing that? I don't know, to get some, I don't know, I mean, whenever he finishes as the kicker one, as far as I know. Tight ends are also a big crapshoot. If you're not getting Kelsey, good luck. But I get that most places, most leagues do have a tight end, but I'm more of a fan of like doing quarterback, one quarterback. I'm a big super flex guy because I don't like that Kirk Cousins is being drafted before Derrick Henry or something. Like it makes no sense to me. So like one QB, two running back, three wide receiver, two wide receiver, running back, tight end flex. I like having that like high flex. So that if you do have one of those elite tight ends, you can at least play them. You don't just take Travis Kelsey out because, he's generational. He should be played. I also like IDP leagues where, you get like a linebacker, defensive lineman, defensive back. I mean, I don't know. I could do without kickers and team defense and things like that. I know you haven't actually commissioned any leagues, but I guess what were your favorite parts about some of the leagues that you've been in? Any unique things that you've seen as far as like scoring settings or anything like that?
I've really been in what seems to be more basic kind of leagues. You were kind of blowing my mind as you were talking though about like your justification around like let's get rid of the kicker, let's not do team defense.
Yeah,
Hell, let's scrap tight end as just an official position. Um,
right,
and I think that's really good. Like I've never thought about that as deeply as you have, but dear God, that makes sense because if this is supposed to be like a game of skill and not just a game of pure luck, well, kicker's
right.
pure luck.
Yeah,
Defense is somewhat skillful. Oh, I'm playing the matchup, blah blah blah. But that can be a lot of luck too. And then
yeah,
like tight end, at least the past few years, it's been like if you're not like I mean, like I loved last year looking at the drop off from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then 3 to like the rest of the league.
yeah. It's fun.
And so basically it became kicker. It was
Yeah,
just like if you didn't have 1, 2, or 3, tight end was kicker. Let me just
yeah,
throw Chiggy Okonkwo in and maybe he'll score a touchdown this week, which I
yeah.
did benefit from that.
I
Whatever
love Chig.
random
Yeah,
game he scored like one touchdown or two touchdowns, I got him on
yeah,
that week, had a good week. But like, yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm really down with that, and like
yeah.
I'll probably push for that in other leagues that I'm in. to be like, hey, aren't we supposed to be using our skills? Why am I getting beat by this, dude over here because his kicker got seven? I mean, I lost one time this past year because I can't remember who it was. They got like seven. A kicker got 17 points. F
Yeah,
that. That's so
it's
stupid.
ridiculous. And you could have the Justin Tucker who he gets maybe 6 points. Like say they only scored touchdowns, blew the team out, didn't need their kicker. Like I don't know, it's just it's random, I think. Not a big kicker person. But also like I don't know, I'm kind of a get off my lawn fantasy kind of guy. Like I don't know, it's basically I make my mind up if I'm against something, I'm against it, and if I'm with it, I'm with it. Um but yeah, I mean, whenever it comes to bonuses, what are your thoughts on bonuses? I mean, I know it's something that's obscure. A lot of people do love it whenever it comes to like, I don't know, like, oh, my guy had a killer day. Like, I'd love to see the bonuses or a big play or something like that. You ever been in any leagues with bonuses, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was in a league with yardage bonuses. So it was
Okay.
kind of those yardage benchmarks that are more like not fantasy benchmarks, more like, I mean, I guess they're kind of fantasy benchmarks, but like NFL stat benchmarks. So like
Yeah.
if your running back went over 100 yards, there was like a bonus
Okay.
there.
It's like a
If
good day at the office kind of
Yeah,
bonus.
if your
Yeah.
quarterback threw for over 300, which that's like kind of what, like probably in quarterback ratings or whatever, the
Yeah.
300-yard game is going to be important. So it was almost like these stat bonuses, but
Yeah.
they weren't like crazy, nothing like that. I felt like altered the game.
Yeah.
So some of these bonuses can alter the game, as I've heard. Have you experienced bonuses just being excessive?
Yeah, a little bit. So, I'm in this one local league with some buddies. Love the league. Last year we had we benefited from these bonuses, so I'm not like bitter or anything, but the bonuses were like it was like an extra 5 points if it was a touchdown over 40 yards. So if you look at it, say they scored a 50-yard touchdown. That's 5 points on the yards. That's the five extra bonus points. That's the 6 points for the touchdown. So right there, you got 16 points just and if you have a stack, like that's 32 points. Like that's you're looking at 32 points if you have that quarterback wide receiver combo. It's just too much. And like, I don't know if like Gabe Davis, for instance, a guy who he's not very involved, but you get that big touchdown or something. I hate big play bonuses. I just think it throws everything out of whack. And it's like, hey, well, why did that guy outscore Stephon Diggs? Stephon Diggs was all over the field. He just didn't get a touchdown, but Gabe Davis had a 42-yard touchdown and a 46-yard touchdown. Those were his two catches, but he has twice as many points. Like that's why I hate big play bonuses. I do like big game bonuses, or kind of like you had mentioned, like just kind of those good day at the office bonus, like, hey, here's one extra bonus point or two extra bonus points, or something like that. And as long as it's not excessive, because that's what it is. It's a bonus. It's not whenever you like get a bonus at work or something, you don't expect it to be, double your paycheck or, anything like that. It's extra money onto your paycheck. So I think that's kind of how it should be looked at. But totally get it. I don't know, but everybody kind of views that kind of differently. But these are just kind of our preferences, I think.
Right. So when it comes to playoff settings, which last year was like tested everyone's resolve
Oh,
and ability
yeah.
to just kind of stick to their guns when it came to certain things, or be flexible when it came to playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But outside of last year, what kind of like playoff settings do you look for? Do you prefer? Um, there's a lot of ways to go about it. How many people do you let in? Do you do a bye week? Do you reseed? What do you like to do?
Yeah, so like, the way I see it, like I'll play in any playoff settings because that's the kind of player I am. I'm very confident and, like, hey, I don't care if I'm a one seed and there's 8 teams that make the playoffs. I'll, go against that 8 seed, no problem. But yeah, I think six is the ideal number. the top two teams getting a bye week. I think they earned that. They should be in that second round because they had the best two records out of everybody. That's why you play 13, 14 weeks. I think it should hold way more weight than if you have one unlucky week or something like that. I think 8 is too much, especially in like a 10-teamer or something. Like 80% of your league should not be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to see a team that went like 4-10 go to the championship and win it all. Like it's, you're truly not getting the best team. And I'm all for, those upsets and everything, but I'm a firm believer in like not all champions being created equally. I mean, you'll take the championship any way you can get it, but like everyone will be kind of like, well, they kind of sucked that year until those last 3 weeks or something. But
Right.
also, and I do like reseeding too. I think that does help out those top teams in a way, and I think that's important. Also, like another nod to those people who finish first or second. Let's see, as far as there's one thing that I've been seeing more of lately, and I think it's a really cool thing. Usually for like those 4-team playoffs, but the championship round being 2 weeks. So you take week 16 and 17, and you make that the championship. So I think that's a really cool way of kind of like a prove it kind of thing, um, where like the true champion will kind of show themselves.
Mhm.
So I do like that. What are your thoughts on playoffs as you've seen it?
Well, I like what you just talked about. Anything that basically weeds out the randos that just got there.
Yeah.
Someone who, I mean, hell, we've been in a league where we had a
No,
non-updater
no.
win the championship.
It's awkward, yeah, because we had a trophy and everything, but they didn't give a shit about that. Like they were like, "Well, guess I won," and it's like, well, this person like they shouldn't be invited back next year to defend that title, but they're going to be because they have to defend the title. It sucks.
So obviously, like in that league, we did something wrong, or we all just were so terrible
Yeah,
at playing the game. But we allowed a non-updater to breeze to the playoffs and win the championship.
kind
And
of
so
our fault. Yeah.
anything that really weeds out those people, like I made the playoffs in my league last year. I had a terrible year, but I like fought hard to get the playoffs. But you know what?
I
I
saw
lost in
the
the
team.
first
Yeah.
round because I really wasn't supposed to be there. I worked really hard to get there, but I wasn't really deserving to be there.
Right.
And thankfully so, because if it had been set up in a different way, I could have beat the number one seed who had like worked really hard, and that's cool. But I
Yeah.
really wasn't going to go that much further. My team limped into the playoffs. So anything that just levels the playing field makes it where people are more likely to have skill to win. And you really, and some of that really just goes back to like your scoring settings.
Mhm.
Hell, it goes back to like who you recruited to come to your league. People who are going to play and update and pick up from the waiver wire. So the league is made up of people, and the people are really who determine how competitive it's going to be. But then,
Yeah.
as a commissioner, you can do things to make sure things run smoothly and to keep scores tight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, last year really just a weird situation that I don't think no one's had to deal with. The DeMar Hamlin situation, big game. Bills and Bengals. It was a Sunday night game. A lot of people's championships on the line. Obviously you want the guy to pull through and everything, and he did, which is great. But your second thought as a fantasy person is what happens. Like, you're trying to think like, when is it okay for me to voice this? But what happens to the fantasy championship? We've worked all year to get here, and then I think the best thing to do, like, I don't think that you should ever trust an ESPN, Yahoo Sleeper, whatever platform you're using to determine that. I think it's a case by case. Hey, let's look at the actual matchup, see what could actually happen, and how we'd like to handle this as a league. Maybe talk to, and you don't even have to talk to all of the whole league how they want it. Just the two people who are in the championship, and
Mhm.
like let them know like, hey, what, it looks like you're down this much. Like, do we want to use week 18 and take those stats and put the 17s at zeros for, for the players that still haven't played yet, or how do we want to move forward here? So I think a lot of it's like, take control of your league as a commissioner, and then everything will be all right. Because it's not just, I don't know, it's everyone's league, and you want people to come back. You want to be that premier league that everybody wants to join, and I think that being a good commissioner whenever it comes to those playoff things, like, really holds some weight there.
Yeah, exactly. So our moving on from league settings and our preferences, uh, we're gonna play a game called Squad Up. And so, did you name this game?
I don't know. It could have been a better name, but
No, that's a good name. It sounds like a segment. It sounds like a segment. So you did a good job. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and forth, and it's basically just this guy, that guy. But so Kevin and I are gonna build a roster of five guys, and a little mix of positions from here and there. But to build that roster, each of us has to make a choice between two guys who might be similar in some ways, or maybe a tough decision between the two. So we'll go back and forth, picking between the two, and then we'll have our squad at the end of the game. So I'll go first, asking Kevin. My first one for you is: would you rather, for your squad, have Madison or Pollard?
Madison or Pollard. All right, so two guys who basically, we've been waiting on them to get the keys to the car, and they finally got them. I think we all kind of look at it like that. Madison. So I wasn't even a Dalvin Cook owner last couple of years, but I had Madison, and I would just wait for Dalvin Cook to get hurt because Madison would smash every time he started in place of Dalvin Cook. He was great. I'm excited for him to get the starting role. Pollard, being a former Cowboys guy who probably still watches them every week because they're always on TV, that, like, I'm sure, you were watching Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, and you're like, man, when are we going to start giving Pollard the ball? Like, he's electric every time he touches it. And, I think he's the better back. So, both of them, I'm huge on Pollard this year. I think I would have no problem with him being my RB1. Like, if I were to get him in like the late second or something. Madison, you can get later. I'm in on Madison too. I think he's a great back. I think they were just, I'd love to see him in that full-time role. I just hope the Vikings like him as well. But I'm gonna go Pollard, just because I'd see him as more of my RB1 on my team, and Madison is more of my RB2 or flex. So I'm gonna go Pollard just because I think he's gonna be awesome. I think he could have like a top five running back year with all the PPR points and everything. So I'm going Pollard. Um, so my first one for you, sir, is Tony Pollard or Derek Henry.
Okay, so basically we got Rising to take the keys to the car versus the guy about to just like, all right, here you go, throw the
Yeah,
keys.
yeah.
Uh, so so really, it's pretty easy for me because I would rather go ahead and take the upside of Pollard there, because it's his chance. It's his chance. It's something he's invested in. I'm going with more kind of the human interest side of it than maybe
Yeah,
even the fantasy strategy side of it. But it just seems like I'm invested in this team. I want to look good for this team. I've been waiting for this chance versus this guy who's been the guy, is the guy, but isn't going to be the guy after
yeah.
this year. So what's really the incentive? Derrick Henry could come up on day two and be like, "Oh, my toe, it's totally messed up. I can't play." And who's to fault him for it? The Titans have ran the man into the ground, have never given him,
Yeah.
at times have given him what he needed to be successful. But yeah,
I
like,
think they've wasted his prime too. It sucks. Like,
yeah,
as a Titans fan.
yeah. But
Um,
Henry's going to score. Henry's going to have a good season. But between
yeah,
the two, give me Pollard. He's got more
yeah.
incentive to play well.
Right. So we're both Pollard's a fifth fantasy guy. So fifth quarter fantasy guy. He's an FQF MFer for sure. So, yeah, Derrick Henry, love him. You can get both of them around the same time in the draft too. Derrick Henry maybe a little bit later, but yeah, Pollard's the guy I think.
All right, so we have our squad members, one squad member each. So for you, these two guys, I paired them together because I feel like they're both guys who have had to do too much for their teams, have had at least coming off of one somewhat disappointing season for both, and both have teams that are trying to do more for them so they don't have to do so much. So
Yes.
who you got between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen?
So whenever, so we kind of talked about it earlier, but Josh Allen. Like, I feel like, and he seems to be the obvious answer, right? Like he's going top three quarterback, in mocks and everything. Lamar Jackson is interesting though because his upside is QB1. Like he's got that amazing upside. He's just been kind of injury prone lately. I feel like the Ravens have put way more weapons in his arsenal this offseason. The addition of drafting Zay Flowers, they got OBJ, they still have Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman should be healthy. J.K. Dobbins should be healthy. You have a lot going there, and he's got that rushing upside. Um, Josh Allen, like, I think I'd go Josh Allen. Um, just because he's Josh Allen. Like I think, and I know that's not a good, but like he just always produces. The team's always in shootouts. They're going to be in those big games. You're going to get to watch them on TV. Um, I do think that Lamar has a much better supporting cast than he did have. And his supporting cast uh, might even be better than Josh Allen's. I just think Josh Allen's a better talent and he's less injury prone. And around that Lamar Jackson area, you can get some other quarterbacks. So that's I'm gonna go with Josh Allen. All right, so a couple wide receivers for you. Um, and both of these, they're both fast guys. Kadarius Toney of the Chiefs or Marquise Hollywood Brown of I almost said Ravens of the Cardinals. So, you feeling Kadarius Toney or Marquise Brown?
So I think this one is a little easier for me because one has one kind of scratch, and then the other has kind of two scratches. Kadarius Tony can't stay on the field, and he's in that Chiefs rando who's gonna catch the ball
Yeah,
offense,
yeah,
unless you're Travis Kelsey,
yeah,
like. And it's so unpredictable. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want a piece of that, and I could like eat that decision in a heartbeat and be completely wrong. But it's just like he's gonna have his games if he stays on the field, but you don't know which games they're gonna be, and then you don't know
mhm,
how long he's going to be on the field. Whereas Marquise Brown, he has the one scratch, which it's you play for the Cardinals, like, but you're kind of the guy right now. And like as
mhm,
long as you come back from your injury at the end of the season, all right, then you could be okay. And so I would rather just take the one and at least he'll come back and play and maybe stay on the field. Tony's so frustrating. He's
yeah,
just like, oh, hey everyone, I'm here to play football.
yeah,
Like, yeah, for
yeah.
how long?
Yeah, I remember. So, like, Tony's one of those guys. Kadarius Tony's one of those guys who has burnt me for a couple years. Like, sort of like Josh Gordon. You believed in him all the time, but he just couldn't put the damn blunt down. Like, he just kept smoking weed and getting caught. And so Kadarius Tony, like, yeah, I know he's been hurt and everything, but like, I think your best ability is availability, and he just hasn't really been available. And he is in that random offense where if you're not Travis Kelsey, Mr. Popular, good luck. You're just another butt cheese boy. So he kind of gets that butt cheese boy alert ticker
Oh
there. But
man. Next one for you is two vets. One is teamless, and the other is teamed, but it's the Bucks with no Tom Brady. So, who do you got between Hopkins and Mike Evans?
Oh, neither. Like, but I don't know. So Hopkins, I think, so they've historically they've both been great. Like that's the thing. But are they so great right now? What have you done for me lately? Hopkins, he's I guess he's looking more like Patriots or Titans.
Mhm.
Neither one excite me at all. Um, if he goes to the Titans, he'll be our leading receiver with 500 yards.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, and he's better than anything we got. But I mean, and then you got Mike Evans who didn't do anything all year and then blew up for 54 points in the fantasy championship. So I have kind of a personal vendetta against him, being against him in one of my leagues. But I'm going to go Mike Evans just because I think. I mean, his quarterback plays so bad now. He's Brady-less, he's Winston-less. Like even when he had Jameis Winston, Winston at least likes to throw it up to whoever, and it's like so he at least gets the ball down the field. And now you got Baker Butt Cheese Boy Mayfield at the helm, and it's just it's not the same. So I think Mike Evans might be quarterback proof, one of those players who's just going to get his. He's got 9 straight years with over 1,000 yards receiving. So I think Mike Evans will be the way that I go. Um, Hopkins isn't a bad player though. I just think he's not going to end up in a good situation. Just don't like his situation. So I'm going to go with Mike Evans. So I have one here, and so I noticed I put kind of a lot of first, second rounders in here. Um, but this one is basically they're coming up as like somewhere between an ADP of 3 and 5 or 6. But we have Cooper Cup or Tyreek Hill.
So, everyone kind of forgot about Cup last year just because of the way the season went as
Yeah,
far as wins and losses, but his statistically he wasn't that different
yeah,
uh, than previous versions of himself, barring injury. But that being said, I'll take Hill until he just quits football.
yeah.
Like,
In 3 years, yeah. That's what he plans on retiring.
which is incoming quicker than all of us wanted.
Yeah,
But I'll just take him because he's in a great offense, but he could be in a bad offense and make it a great offense.
yeah,
And so I'll take Hill in that situation. Cup's tempting, and he'll probably return to form. But God, I don't believe in that offense at all. And he had to fight and scrap to get to almost 2021 production last year. Um, and that was like scrapping to get there. I don't think things are going to be any different as far as like Matthew Stafford's ability to drop back and throw the ball without getting just destroyed in 8 seconds.
yeah,
So yeah, so I'll go with Hill there. For me, when in doubt, I'll just choose who's on a better team as a whole. Like
yeah.
just what
It's a
team is
good
going to
pivot.
play football, be competitive. Like I don't want to bank on garbage time. Cup is like banking on garbage time.
Yeah,
Well, I can't. They're not going to be competitive, but he'll get a lot of passes in the fourth quarter when it doesn't matter. I don't want to bank on
yeah. That's what Hollywood Brown does. I love it.
that. It's risky,
Um,
it's
it
scary.
is. It is for sure.
So, for your next squad member, your fourth squad member, we're going to go. So let's pretend we're in a league where you have to take a tight end.
Okay.
So who do you got between Mandrews and Godert, or in my league they call him Joe Dirt in one of the leagues I'm in? They had to tell me the story behind that. I was like, does he look like because I always listen to football games. I never watch them. I was like, oh, does he look like Joe Dirt? I thought maybe he looked like Joe Dirt, and they're like, no, no, no. Someone just like thought his name rhymed with Joe Dirt, so it was kind of a
Drew has him in a dynasty league, and on Sleeper you can make You can give them nicknames. You can give the players nicknames, and he put Donkey Teeth. So, which he had regular teeth, but he put Donkey Teeth. Um, so I'm probably going with Donkey Teeth on this one because Mark Andrews, I think he's got some injury history there. I think he had the number one option over in Baltimore, but they truly, I mean, I know they're trying to open up that offense a little bit more, trying to be less run heavy, but give me a piece of that Eagles offense. I like Goddard a lot. He's going to be right there in the middle of the field. He's someone who I know Jalen Hurts really likes. So I don't think you can go wrong with Mark Andrews, but personal preference, I'm going Goddard, and I can get him a little bit later in the draft. Um, Next one for you, we're going to do a quarterback. I got a nice threesome of handsome fellas here. We got Winston Fields, or Lamar Jackson, or Trevor Lawrence.
All right, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, or Trevor Lawrence. Okay, so my gut is really it's really pointing me toward oh man,
It's a tough one.
that is a toughie. That's a real toughie. My
Winston
gut
Fields is QB5, Lamar Jackson QB6, Trevor Lawrence QB8 right now in mocks.
really okay. See, my gut, I'm leaning toward Lawrence because I think he's got more stepping to do. Like
Yep.
last year was a step, and I think this year's a bigger step. Like the Jags are just they're looking good. They're looking like a really good team with a really explosive offense with really good talent around him. And Fields, I mean, I benefited from Fields last year, like right like in the best part of Fields last year, and then got out before it got bad. But like we're all banking on him to take the step, but there's no guarantee he takes the step. Whereas
Yeah.
with Lawrence, we've seen you take the step, and now we're asking you to take the next one, and all signs point to you are. And then with Jackson, I don't believe it. Jackson feels like kind of like they're throwing a lot of stuff together, kind of like whenever like NBA teams try to create that super team and it doesn't work. Like, why doesn't that
Yeah.
work? They're all stars, and it's like, yeah, but they don't know how to play together. So it feels like with Jackson, they're just throwing all this stuff at them, and like, we got this, we got this, we got this, but it's like, can you play? Can you all play
Right.
together? I don't know. So I would like need to see them play to know if they can actually play ball together. So I would go with Lawrence. I feel like that's more of the slam dunk there.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
obviously, if
think
you
so.
were, you were like in a dynasty situation, you're going Lawrence. And then, hey, if Fields takes that step this year, and he could, then man,
Yeah.
we're having this discussion next year, and it's
Yeah.
probably yeah, heck yeah, give me some Fields now. He's going to take that second or third step.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. So far, I've agreed with all of yours. I would have gone Pollard, Brown, Hill, and Lawrence. So yeah, I mean, I'd go Trevor Lawrence too. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy this year. I liked him a little bit last year, but I think he's the guy that takes that next step and enters that top five fantasy QB conversation. So good stuff.
So your last decision is two guys who are had great seasons last year, kind of got onto our radar last year, and it's a little bit up in the air if they're going to keep doing what they've been doing. So Damian Pierce or Kenneth Walker the third or second. Third?
That's a tough one. Yeah. Man. Yeah. I had I had both last year. I was big on Damian Pierce preseason last year. For some reason, I hadn't even watched a highlight tape. I had just been hearing good things, and he only had to beat out sexy Rex Burkhead, so he did that, and then backfield was his.
It took
And they've
1 week.
yeah, I think they added like Devin Singletary. I'm not worried about him taking anything from Damian Pierce. I think Damian Pierce is a good violent runner. I think. he got game scripted out a lot last year, where the Texans just sucked so bad they just couldn't run the ball. So he got game scripted out quite a bit. He was kind of hard to start at times, but it wasn't his fault. So sort of like Ivan Kamara being mishandled last year, misused. The idiot coaching staff over in New Orleans just could not get him the ball. And like it's like, dude, get your best player the ball. Um, so I like Damian Pierce a lot. And then the other guy, Kenneth Walker. So I think he's going more into a split backfield this year. I think they drafted Zach Charbonnet for a reason, to be more of that pass catching back, and I do think Charbonnet is going to eventually take over uh, the Seattle backfield or get more of a majority. Kenneth Walker did nothing wrong either. Like I don't know why they did that. So like that's the only my only knock on Ken Walker is his situation has changed and kind of gone down a little bit. I'm not like I know Ken Walker's going way earlier than Damian Pierce, but I'm gonna go Damian Pierce in this situation. Um, just because I think he's gonna have a better year. I don't think he's gonna get game scripted out as badly. Um, Ken Walker's just gotta, compete with Zach Charbonnet more now. I do think Sal's gonna be the more dynamic offense. This one I'm truly torn on, but I'm gonna lean a little bit more Pierce. Might be wrong on it. But
Yeah,
let's see, last one for you, and these are two very high end running backs, but at different kind of stages in their career. Austin Eckler or Bijan Robinson.
mm, I know you're a big Eckler guy. Um, he certainly deserves it. He's proven it, but I think it's just all signs point toward Bijan just doing some really cool stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know anything about like his injury history or anything like that, but the Falcons will test it out. So like they're
Yeah.
gonna see him.
Yeah.
Like just here you go. Here you go, bud.
Yeah.
Have a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about Bijan. Yeah, I lean more Eckler. That's just because I've loved him for so long, but yeah, Bijan Robinson, like that offense he's going into, they ran the ball over 500 times last year, I think it was. And it's like, and that was with like Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson, and imagine what they're going to do with a generational talent. So
Yeah.
very excited about Bijan. I get it.
And I
Um,
don't hope they like use him creatively. I hope they don't just like pound him between the tackles and ruin him.
yeah,
Like get him on the outside, throw him the ball. Let's do some weird stuff. Like let's get
he
kinky
can do
with
it
it.
all. Yeah, good stuff. So you end up with Trevor Lawrence, Tyreek Hill, Marquise Brown, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, and I think I have Josh Allen, Mike Evans, Tony Pollard, Damian Pierce, and some other guy.
Donkey teeth.
Donkey teeth, yeah. Yeah, we take your squad all day. So, um, but but yeah, so kind of a final thoughts thing. What are your thoughts on Taysom Hill? Just do you like him? Do you don't like him? What are your thoughts?
Taysom Hill is a butt cheese boy. That's
Oh, you got to use it.
like nothing against him personally. It's just you're completely unpredictable, man. Like
Yeah,
in a league where you have a tight end slot, I don't even want to put you there. That's how unpredictable you are. Because you could
yeah,
literally get me 0 points, like 0 points, and
yeah,
like a lot of tight ends will at least get me like 2 points,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
could be all the difference.
yeah.
And
But
so there was just some more like, and man, I hate it because they'll be like, there's like experts who like know exactly when they're gonna use Taysom Hill. They'll be like, oh, this is the Taysom Hill game. This is the Taysom Hill game. It's like he does nothing. It's like
yeah,
because I've been tempted. I've never started him. I don't think I've ever
yeah,
even had him on my team. I don't want that
yeah.
unpredictability.
He's a weird one. Yeah, that's it's kind of like. those guys that like are so boom or bust, you almost don't even want them on your team because they're so frustrating to own and so inconsistent. It's like unless it's a dart throw situation, like you don't want to have to depend on something like that. So, yeah, Taysom Hill, I hate him. He just I don't know, like so you know how like if you're not able to be in front of a TV or something, like you'll have your notifications on your phone and it'll be like, oh, touchdown in the Saints game. I wonder if it was Alvin Kamara or I wonder if it was Chris Olave or someone like that. Like, oh, 1 yard touchdown, Taysom Hill run. Oh, that tight end of theirs, like that's not really a tight end. Like he ruins it. Taysom Hill's so frustrating.
Now
So
there are people who are experts in kind of NFL strategy and trends, and there is a worrying sign that we could be in for more Taysom Hill types in the future.
oh, I hate that.
You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like how all defensive players who aren't linemen have started to kind of look the same. They're all kind of the same build. That
Yeah.
strong safety build, that traditional strong safety build has just basically become every linebacker, safety, and corner out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except in the offensive perspective. And we're going to get more of these like multi-use confusing guys. And you know what? If they're good and they're on a team that's using them like consistently, cool. But if it's
Yeah.
just more weird Taysom Hill stuff, then what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. We need less butt cheese boys in the league for sure. All right, cool. Well, this has been fun. Yeah, really enjoyed this episode. So, yeah, next week we are going to be discussing draft strategy. We're going to talk about some things to avoid, some tips, some, good things that we like to do in drafts and, stacking players and maybe even some examples of how you can do those things. We haven't fully planned it out, but I think, it'll be a pretty cool episode for sure. So, anyway, that's all I got for this week. Coach V, you got anything else?
That's it for me. Just good work, everyone. Great show, and we're gonna talk about that stuff next week. But in the meantime, y'all be good. Go improve yourself on the path of Dr. I'm We'll see y'all
Like and subscribe and listen to us on Spotify. Follow the Facebook page.
right on there.